Have you seen him? Have you seen the Maynard man? Where is he? Or I'll skin you alive. Hey folks, worry not, it's Kilt-Man. Kilt-Man here, at your barnacled seafaring services. How are you all? Let me just put down this weapon of butchery before I proceed to butcher the English language and all known forms of verbal film reviewing right before your very eyes. How are you all, folks? Hope you're doing very well. Yes, you catch Kilt-Man again on another day of lockdown limbo and a laptop which is doing absolutely nothing. Kind of proving to me that maybe my job really isn't as important as I once thought, because the world is still turning, stuff is still happening without me intervening in any way, shape or form. So hey, that's reassuring, isn't it? That my career has value and worth. Folks, cast your minds back to 1980. Yes, some of you can't do that, I know, because you were born way after that, but use your imaginations. And what most film critics seem determined to have you believe one of the world's worst turkeys ever came out of Hollywood, and that was Michael Ritchie's The Island, starring Michael Caine, an adaptation of Peter Benchley's book The Island. And as you can see there, Peter Benchley wrote Jaws. Jaws famously had a monstrous thing, a threat rising from the depths. He did a book called The Deep, which again featured threats from the deep, although it was a thriller, not a horror. And all the posters would have something like this, rising, from the briny. A great white shark in one case, a woman trying to rise to the surface in a very seductive and exciting poster for the deep. And in this you have a seaweed encrusted piratical dagger. Yes. And there's the Blu-ray cover. And yeah, that's a different variation on. There's a few different posters for the film, and that's one of them. And again, it's another piratical dagger coming up there with a tattoo of skull and crossbones on it, leading you to believe, yes, there's pirates in this here tale. And indeed there is. What it is, folks, is Peter Benchley had a real thing for the sea and seafaring mysteries and thrillers. And of course, you've got the Bermuda Triangle, the Bahamas, and all of this sort of area where boats, planes, people go missing, even to this day. By the way, no matter how much they try to come up with theories as natural theories why this could be taking place, it's the weather, it's people, the gravitational pull and all this sort of thing. Your compasses go off the charts, and people just, it's user error basically, they're saying. No, I do believe there's a lot more to it than that. And aliens, no, maybe not even that, but who knows. I've got tons of books on it and I do love it. And this was a film that perhaps erroneously was sort of purported to be, this is what's happening in the Bermuda Triangle. But just listen to the plot of this and you'll soon realise why it couldn't be. Trapped on a group of islands in the island specifically in this area is a bunch of descendants from L'Olonois, the great L'Olonois pirate from the 16th century. And his descendants have kept on all the old traits, all the old habits, and they are going out and raiding passing ships or any shipwrecks. They're brought in. Anyone who's young enough to be indoctrinated into their fraternity, they will be done. Women who are of childbearing, age and fitness will be brought in for that particular service and then sold into whoring afterwards. But these guys have persisted in their butchery and barbaric practices for nigh on 300 years. And there's the mystery solved. That's why all these little pleasure boats and schooners and what have you are going missing. But this is such a big area, no one's really been batting an eyelid. But into this little mix comes Michael Caine's investigative journalist, Blair Maynard, who thinks, what can I smell? A story, a salty, seaborne story. I'm going out there, and I'm going to go out there with my son, 12-year-old son, Justin. So they go out there, and he thinks there's nothing's going to happen. He's going to fly around, get a tan while he's out there, and make a few bit of moolah, listen to some local legends, and he meets a doctor, a local sort of shanty isle doctor, and played by Frank Middlemass. This film is filled stuffed to the gills. The bilge is absolutely rammed full of stock British drama, TV, theatre, and movie actors, and they're brilliant. They're brilliant. They really give it their all, and these are all the pirates. Frank Middlemass, tries to give advice. Oh, check this island out. Go here, go there. But really, he's working in cahoots with this band of sadistic, vicious pirates who are led by the true descendants of this fabled Lolonois warrior chieftain, and he is David Warner. David Warner, the great genre, Supremo, David Warner, The Omen, Company of Wolves, Time Bandits. Oh, the list goes on and on and on. And these are vicious brutes, and they do capture Blair Maynard and his son. Blair is tortured, beaten, and humiliated, but he will get to learn the background of this tribe of pirates, how they've survived, how they've come to be, and his son will be taken away from him. And this is one of the things that the pirates do. They'll take the young lads and indoctrinate them, train them, brainwash them, as it were, into their ways. So in a very, very effective and quite, horrible part of the story, Blair's son turns against him and learns they have weapons because they had a Walther PPK with them, and he gets renamed as Tubarb, and he then becomes a murderer himself. He learns how to fight, and he turns his back on his own father, and that's really horrible. When they're first captured, Blair will kill one of the pirates, but when he wakes up on the island, in a great sequence where he hasn't got a clue where he is, it's in pitch darkness, and there's all these little torchlight, and I mean not torches with batteries, little flame lights and candles are in his face, and there's all these bizarre British tattooed bastards coming in there, speaking in their bizarre gobbledygook slanguage, their weird patois, which has been obviously, it's survived successive generations and evolved into its own lingo, and they're giving him all this crap, and he's got no idea what's happening, and he's chained up and all that. And his punishment is that, because he killed this man, this pirate, that pirate's wife then becomes his, and he will suffer whatever punishment she deems fit. And if she doesn't do it, she'll be punished as well. And so his humiliations go on. But you learn a lot about, this pirate society, how their rituals, how their ceremonies, how their beliefs are formed. They quote the Bible a lot, but like other religious people around the world who use religious doctrines for their own ends, they misinterpret things quite a bit. So, they will quote scripture, but only for their own purposes. And people will stand trial. There's a lot of punishments dished out, a lot of tortures are dished out. And Blair will bear witness to how these people survive out there by, attacking passing ships. And because the area is sort of off the maps, it's got bad weather. It's you don't really want to go there, but it does get passing trade enough to keep these people sort of alive. It's kind of obliquely hinted at that there may be cannibalism as well, but you don't really see any of that. So Michael Caine as Blair will come to understand the customs, the values of this bizarre, frightening society, very violent. And his incarceration will be brutal, but he learns something. He tries to escape a couple of times. That doesn't go well. He'll meet a Portuguese man of war, and things are not good. The woman who's meant to look after him but also punish him, she'll be tortured, and he'll learn that he's got to look after her if he wants to survive. And I think she's played by someone with a weird name called Angela Punch McGregor. But it is I think it's a wonderful film. It's also a blood-curdlingly violent movie as well. Many versions of it exist. It's been cut down in many countries. Little elements here, little snips and trims from the censors. But I have a full uncut version of it, and in fact, that is the full uncut version. And what the film omits is that there is a search going on. I think, now I've not seen the film for a while, but I've watched it, a gazillion times in the past. And the reason why I'm talking about it now is because, well, I don't know. I actually don't know. I began playing music over here, and I just, because I've got such a vast collection of movie soundtracks, and I stumbled on a little Ennio Morricone folder, and lo and behold, there was The Island. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll put that on. And it's so evocative, so powerful, so lyrical as well, with a wonderful main theme, a wonderfully elegiac main theme, that I thought, yeah, oh, I love The Island. So I dug out the book, I dug out the Blu-ray. There's other versions, as I said before, but I haven't watched it in a long time. But I thought, you know what, because I ain't doing shit all here of productive value to the world, I'll discuss this movie, which the world seems to despise, and I'll try and set the record straight. It's directed with verve. It's a very colourful film. The costumes, the tattoos, the production value, they have their own skiffs and little vessels, which they go en masse when they lure a ship in, or one foolishly comes into their waters. They'll go en masse to attack it, but they do like clandestine commando raids. The very first scene in the movie is an attack on a pleasure boating yacht, where everyone on board is killed except for one lad who's the sort of Mexican or Venezuelan manservant, and he gets taken in and he joins the pirate fraternity. And then Justin, Michael Caine's son in the film, gets indoctrinated into it as well, and now played by David Warner, the descendants of L'Olonois, this fabled buccaneer who waged war on the Spanish and was he ripped living hearts out of his victims and eat them in front of their eyes. He was that violent apparently that all like Tortuga and Nassau would not let him in anymore because he was bringing warships to their doorstep. So in the end, that's why he sought out this inhospitable enclave of little archipelago islands and made that his fortress. But so Justin, Blair Maynard's son, falls under the spell and does turn against his father. And as I said before, that's one of the most sort of gut-wrenching elements of the movie, besides the sadistic violence in it. And it's just like, first time I saw the film, I was only about 10 years old, 11 years old, just younger than the lad who in the story. But I understood, turn against your dad? What? I don't get it. And he even laughs at his dad and fires that Walther PPK millimeters away from his head. And it's like, what? And then commits murder. And you're like, oh, no way. This is wrong. And of course, as I got older and watched the film again, and I had at that time my son, who was at that sort of age, and your mind begins to think, what if he turned against me? As all teenage boys, teenage girls as well, do turn against their parents. It's part of it. But they're not always armed with a cutlass and a fucking James Bond automatic. But the violence of the film is pretty disturbing. These guys, when they attack ships, they pour tar on their ponytails and set them alight. So as they scale, the victims, ships and boats, they this hellish vision of these guys with like flames, heads full of flame and sharp-edged weapons, attacking and slicing and dicing. Now, that Frank Middlemass, the doctor, who's got one of those great sort of, he's got a face that he's got these beady eyes. He's been in lots and lots of stuff, and you can't trust him. And he's got these little beady black beetle eyes, which seem to suggest, I know a lot more than you, and I'm going to just lead you along. In many ways, this role is his signature role, because that's what he's done in the past. He just has that kind of face, little beak nose on him as well, and he has a bit of a cackle on him, and that knowing look, that mischief, a macabre sense of humour. And he comes out because he's lured Blair Maynard and his son into this trap, basically. But he will come out to the island, and because he's been teaching the pirates the ways of the modern world, what lies out there. he's the one guy that the pirates will sort of trust. They won't hurt him. They listen to, they need him, you see. They need his educational values, so they know what kind of ships are out there, what kind of weaponry they might have. Because a complaint about the film was that these guys seem to know how to use M16s. They don't have them in their arsenal. The book does explain why they have those weapons and how they know how to use them, but they don't like them because once they run out of bullets for it, they can't make any new bullets for these weapons. So they stick to the old, flintlocks and percussion because they can still manufacture the ballistics for it. But they can pick up an M16 and use it. They know how to do it. But in the film, it doesn't really explain that too well. And another thing that the film doesn't do, which could be a minor complaint, but at the time when I watched it, because I saw the film before reading the book, and I never really thought too much about it, is that the climax of the film culminates in a US Coast Guard cutter arriving in the area, and a search party comes ashore, who then, apart from one guy, are ambushed and sliced up, throats are cut, and they're axed and knifed. And there's a lot of blood on show in this movie. It's very, very violent. And this other guy is allowed to stay alive, and he goes back on the little Coast Guard sort of patrol boat to the main cutter, and he's got tarpaulins all over the deck of this thing, and he looks nervous, and these guys are all looking down. What's up with you? What's wrong? What's under the cargo nets and all that, under the tarpaulins? You got bodies down there? And the tarpaulin goes back, and the pirates surge up the cargo nets and attack all the Coast Guard crew and kill them all. And they pick up M16s and they start shooting and using them. They pick up I think it's what did he use? I don't know. Something inflammable anyway, and they set fire. I think it's a flare. Set fire to it, and they blow up one of the decks. So they know how to handle weapons and equipment of the modern age, and they completely take over this ship. But the violence, there's wires garroting into people's throats and blood spurting everywhere. There's heads coming off. There's people getting sliced up. It is very violent. An earlier attack which Blair Maynard is privy to, because he goes out on one of these ships when they attack what is, a tall-masted ship. In the book, this is populated, as in the film, by teenagers and youths and all that. In the film, they're kind of they're just pleasure cruisers. They're learning. You have these things where instead of going to school, you can be schooled at sea. You can travel the world in one of these tall ships and learn about life and other cultures, and that sort of thing still goes on. But in the book, they're actually drug dealers. They're all, youths of today, or youths of 1980 anyway, and they're all cool. They're in denim shorts, and they're giving it loads. But they've got their only cargo because now and his crew, when they capture them, they've got about 5 survivors left, and they're going tell us, what's the bounty? What's below decks? What have you got? And they're going, it's just shit, man. It's just good shit. If that's all you want, you can have it, man. You can have it. And they're going, what's this shit? What shit do you mean? And Blair Maynard's going, they mean drugs. Drugs? Medicine? No, not quite. And they kill all the survivors anyway. They butcher everybody. But they don't take. There was no one there worth taking back to join their ranks. That's the way they saw it. That's the book. But in the film, it has what many critics decree as being ludicrous. After killing almost everyone on board, and they have the survivors lined up, and this one's got good childbearing hips and all that, but they still shoot them in the head and chuck the bodies over. One guy comes out from below decks, and don't forget, this is 1980. Bruce Lee's, the cult of kung fu was still prevalent. Okay, there was no more Bruce Lee, but films of kung fu and chop socky were still prevalent. And this guy gets out and he stands on one of the hatchways, and all the pirates are all there, and he turns around, whoa, who's this? And he starts doing all the Bruce Lee, and he's doing all this kind of stuff, and they're all laughing. And he goes, right, take him down. And this guy does some expert martial arts, and he starts beating the shit out of these buccaneers. He starts using little, he hasn't got nunchucks, but he uses little, I don't know, something off the side of a ship, I don't know, something wooden. And he starts parrying all the cutlasses coming his way and beating them up, and ow! And then one big fucking horrible pirate just comes up, gets knocked aside a couple of times, and then just laughs and goes, now you die. And this guy just goes, oh, and he goes, oh, skewers him. In that sequence as well, in that scene, Justin, Maynard's son, does kill a guy who climbs up top of the rigging. I mean, there's no way out, is there? Let's be honest. And he gets the gun, and it's kind of clever that, because he's so enamoured by this sort of romantic, violent life, he's getting the fathering, which he didn't get from Blair Maynard, from his real father, and he's enjoying this whole thing about, I can get away with this is freedom, I can kill, I can have a woman as well, I can learn all these things, I can be a man. He's only 12 years old, and this guy's at the top of the rigging, and he gets the gun, and he kills him, and you've got a witness, like, the real father just going, oh, no. He's seeing what his son's becoming, a butcher and a barbarian, and David Warner, the pirate chief, has took him, as his own son. Well done, Jubarb, as they call him now. But there's rivalry between Jubarb and this Manuel, who was the lad at the start I told you about, the first yacht that you see getting taken, and he gets brought into this society. He wants to be. He's jealous of Jubarb and his status and importance. So the two of them have a bit of a rivalry going on. So, as I say, the whole film culminates in this spectacular massacre aboard a Coast Guard cutter. Now, in the book, you find out why that cutter's there. In the film, it just seems to arrive out of nowhere. But in the meantime, the New York office, the paper or whoever employed Maynard, are a bit, where is he? What's happened to this guy? And the mother of Justin, I think the mum and dad are actually separated, but and she's like, well, where's my son? So she demands an investigation, and the Coast Guard in the area have already been wondering and worrying about this missing, duo, his father and son, pair. So they've got a cutter out there looking for him. That's why it's there. So that makes sense. The film doesn't really point that out. But what was it? Front, bow, back, stern. Yeah. At the bow, you've got a 50 caliber machine gun on this Coast Guard cutter. Why the hell a Coast Guard cutter will have a 50 caliber machine gun? I don't know. But Maynard has snuck aboard as well, because he wasn't actually part of this attack, but he's got on board, and in a spectacularly bloodthirsty and grisly Rambo-esque finale, he manages to, they've killed everybody, and they're getting all the supplies out of the ship, but they're all on deck. Convenient that. And Michael Caine manages to get the tarpaulin off this gun, and it's got a chain belt on it, so it's loaded, and he just goes, whoa, turns it on them all, and just cuts them all to pieces. They're all getting shot and shoot up, bodies flying everywhere, tumbling all over the place. The deck is awash with gore. But Manuel, Justin, and now Lolonois, David Warner, have survived. In a bit of a scuffle, because they've got the gun on Michael Caine, and he's like, come on, Jubarb, be a man, kill him, kill the Maynard man. And he's like, that, I can't do it, because it's his dad, he's struggling with it. And then this other lad, this Manuel, goes, I can do it. And the two of them fight over the gun, and Manuel gets it between the eyes, down he goes. Anyway, the next struggle is that all over the decks and below decks, Maynard and Lolonois, now David Warner, have this big chase and skirmish. Michael Caine will win the day, and at the end of it, he's reunited with his son, and a helicopter flies overhead, and they're looking down at this, and you hear, as the film plays out and the end credits begin to crawl, you hear the chatter of the pilot to headquarters, and he's saying, there's bodies on the deck. Bodies? What kind of bodies? What do you mean? Well, they look like pirates. And the voice at HQ, head sheds, going pilots? Say again, pilots? Look like pilots? No, pirates. They're pirates. The film gets slammed and slated by all and sundry, and I don't agree. Ennio Morricone's score is wonderful. It's scary. There's a couple of hunts on the island where I came into the track that plays as these horrible pirates of trying to find Maynard, who's done a runner from the camp, and he's trying to get down to the rocks and get off the island because he's just, well, I can't stay here. They're going to skin me alive. It's fucking horrible. And all the rocks and crevices and all these pirates are everywhere. They're scouring the island. It's very similar to a scene in the great Yul Brynner and Kirk Douglas horror actioner. Well, actioner thriller. It's got horror elements to it, but it's not a horror film. The Light at the Edge of the World, based on a Jules Verne story, that is well worth covering as well, because that once again shows horrible pirates who do some most despicable things, and it's a kind of spaghetti. It's an Italian production, a spaghetti pirate drama, but God, it's horrible. I will cover that, and that's got a great score as well. But they scour the island trying to find Kirk Douglas on that. The only survivor from a lighthouse. The rest of the crew of the workers have been killed, slain horribly. But trying to find Michael Caine, it's a great gripping sequence. And Michael Caine hadn't yet done Jaws for the Revenge, and as he always says, why'd you do it? Well, it bought me a house, because he hates the movie, as everybody with a brain between their ears and a movie-going sensibility does hate the film. But this, I don't think he's too fond of it, but I don't know why. It's a great film. Okay, you can't say that these pirates are responsible for all the disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle, because they can't take planes out, can they? They can't do that. But ships, small boats, schooners, tall ships, they can take them out. At the end of this, they do take out, a big Coast Guard cutter. And the way it's handled, you believe they can do it. I think the film should tell you more about how they know about modern weapons. It's all well and good having Frank Middlemass saying, oh, I've trained them in this. They don't really make proper reference to the weaponry. So it does look a bit odd that they're firing M16s on board this ship. But, it is still spectacular. The costume design is wonderful. This lingo, which is heavily mentioned in the book, well, obviously, it's written a lot of dialogue, and their twisted way of language. Think again to Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, where Max wanders out into the wasteland and encounters the tribe of lost children who speak in a bizarre sort of language of slang, which has been from their ancestors, and it's all become garbled. Very similar to that. And, but in this, their weird judicial system, the way they, incriminate people, you haven't got a chance. They'll give you a chance in court, but really you've got no chance, because you've defied God just by being alive. So the whole thing, it's just for them to have fun in this sort of mock sort of trial. And it is wonderfully done, very evocative, quite frightening, very violent. And now I want to watch it again. Oh, look what I found. That was lurking there the whole time. Who knew? It's not rum. It's better than that. It's whiskey. So yeah, The Island gets a big thumbs up from me. I don't know why people don't like it so much. Great production values, great score, good performances. David Warner, even when he's being at his most hammy, never lets the side down. He always delivers the goods. And people have accused this of being a hammy performance. I don't think it is. He's playing a illiterate barbarian who has great ideas of society, a sense of his own fatality, and how he wants to extend his legend via a son. That's all there. Also, a kind of grudging respect for Maynard, because Maynard does stand up to him. Maynard can offer him, a son, obviously, but also, an insight into the modern man's thinking. And all these are tactics, strategies, how these buccaneers can prevail in the face of a modern technological world, but still remain hidden, but deal with it as it encroaches onto their territory. folks, The Island. I love it. I think it's great. That was a review done from memory, not having just watched the film, but read the book a long time ago. But the book's good as well. I don't rate Peter Benchley as an author that much. I don't think Jaws is that good a book, believe it or not. But The Island is good. It's well written. I do enjoy it. So, in the meantime and in between time, folks, take it easy. Sail safely in good, calm waters. Don't go too far out your depth. And I'm going to see you all. These pirates are lost in their own sort of time limbo. And that's what we're all in right now with restrictions and lockdowns. We've all become COVID buccaneers.